Kristen, who is a Navy helicopter pilot, was meeting up with some friends who were here. They were from her old squadron. She had recently transferred to San Diego County as a Navy pilot instructor. These friends were here for a training. They were work colleagues, and it was a group of 20-somethings getting together to have drinks and hang out in the gas lamp downtown. And the defendant, who was her former commanding officer of the squadron where she had left, was also here. So while at the hotel bar, the defendant and Kristen ended up being the only two still there. Other colleagues and friends started kind of peeling off and going to sleep for the night. And the surveillance video shows that Kristen was heavily intoxicated. It was difficult for her to walk. She was really having to lean on the defendant. And it seemed clear from the video that he was taking advantage of this state that she was in. She's very clearly pushing him away. Her body language indicates very strongly she's not interested at all in whatever he might have planned. He flagged down what we later learned was like a transportation, not necessarily Uber or Lyft, but a driver who had just dropped some people off and sort of guided and ushered Kristen into the car so that they made their way back to her house. Oddly enough, for reasons maybe he only knows, he sets up his iPhone to record whatever encounter might take place. So it's facing the back doors, Kristen's back doors to her house. And he's banging on the doors, pulling on the doors, demanding that she open them, demanding that she get a condom.
Open. Stop. Open.
The video shows that Kristen was fighting back. She was screaming. She was yelling, "No, stop, get out." On a 15-minute period of the video, it captures her saying that 90 times. There was no question that this was not a consensual encounter. This was a violent encounter as you see it on the video.
Stop. Stop. No. Stop. No. Stop. Stop. Stop.
So that morning around 3:30, I woke up and I went out on the porch to smoke a cigarette. And while standing there smoking a cigarette, I heard what I thought was one of my neighbor's dogs barking really loud. I started hearing these blood-curdling screams. I'm talking about, it sounded like a horror movie screams. And I was like, wow, something crazy is happening down there. And so I started running, walking fast towards the sound. And I stopped right in front of my new neighbor's house, Christian, because that's about where it sounded like it was coming from. Then I heard Christian say, "Stop, why are you doing this to me? Please stop." And I was like, wow, but I couldn't, you could hear mumbling from the guy, but I couldn't make out what he was saying. And so I backed away from the window and I called 911.
San Diego emergency, this is Allie.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody's getting raped. The lady screaming, "Get out," the dog's barking. And he said, "I don't want to rape anybody, so please hurry."
I saw him inside and he was running towards the back door again. That's when I saw the police coming up the street, and they asked, "Where's the guy at?" And I pointed, showed them which direction he ran. They chased him.
During his extended run and flight from the police, the defendant broke his leg. So officers ended up down at the bottom of what looked to be two canyons about 100 yards away and had to walk him back up the canyon as best they could.
I just sat out there with Kristen that whole time, trying to comfort her while the police interviewed her. I did make it to work on time, though.
LaMar helped immensely. He obviously reported, he called 911, so he was the reporting party. But I met with him with the investigator and the SDPD detective, who was the lead detective on the case. He walked us through where, physically in the neighborhood, where his house was, where Kristen's house was, pointed out the canyons where the defendant fled. He came in to testify at the preliminary hearing. He was testifying at trial. And he really was the catalyst for this whole thing getting to court.
If it would have been anyone on our street, my next door neighbor, Christian, anyone on the street, I would have did the same thing. I would have stopped it. And then if they needed me to come in and tell them what happened, I would have did the same thing.
Kristen's parents sent me a letter in the mail asking me to nominate LaMar as a citizen of courage. And they included in there that, you know, they wanted to thank him. They didn't even know his last name. Thank him for saving their daughter, what they really felt like was saving their daughter's life, at a minimum saving their daughter from being raped.
You know, people would say that I was a hero for what I did. I'm not really a hero. I'm just the guy next door that was looking out for his neighbors. I don't feel I'm a hero. If it happened where I live now in Rialto, I would do the same thing. And I don't know any of the neighbors. So I'm not a hero. Hopefully I'm just like any other American here would do that, hopefully. That's my wish.